I'm afraid I've got some bad news.
I knew it. I love when he does that.
Wrestling has more than one royal family.
Adrenaline in my soul, something, something, Cody Rhodes. I'm the tribal chief around here. Yeah, you see me, the tribal chief. That's right.
Time. But let me go ahead and tell you.
Shut your bitch ass up.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode 450 of the Hoots Podcast here. It's your truly nefarious brother Adam, a.k.a. Joshie Lopez, here on this Friday, January 31st, 2025, here from the lovely city known as Chicago, Illinois. Hope each and every single one of you are having a wonderful week so far. Busy couple days ahead for yours truly, but wouldn't have it any other way. WrestleMania season is here, and it's the busiest time of the year, but it's also the most rewarding part of the year for me. We are indeed having our Royal Rumble prediction show today, so be looking forward to that. And this week in WWE, we'll answer your questions in the Back Porch Q&A session. If you please could do me a favor, make sure to hit the like button if you're watching this on YouTube right now, and smash the subscribe button. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. I appreciate the support on that way. The best way to support the Hoots Podcast in general is to follow the podcast and stream it on Spotify for our audio versions of the podcast, as the show is brought to you by Spotify for podcasters or Spotify for creators. The names keep changing every couple of months. So, anyways, like I said, the best way to support this podcast is following it and streaming the podcast on Spotify. You can follow me on Twitter if you like, at the Hoots Podcast. I'm on Instagram at Joshie Lopez Music. Please check out my play-by-play transcriptions on WrestlingHeadlines.com in results section, as not only am I covering the Down to Smack tonight, but I will also be covering the Royal Rumble tomorrow night. Make sure to check it out. This weekend and the Rumble in general brings back a lot of memories for me, but it's also kind of a reflective time period for me. And I kind of mentioned this before we get into every WrestleMania season. It just reminds me is that this time of the year just reminds me of how I got my start in this field. And with it being the 450th episode of the Hoots Podcast, I can't even begin to tell you how grateful and humble I feel today with the fact that this podcast has reached this mark. And now that we are indeed entering our final chapter of this journey, it's a sentimental feeling. I started this broadcasting journey right around 2013. I thought I had my future planned out with just pursuing music. I couldn't afford to go to I couldn't afford to stay at Columbia College. I had some personal stuff going on in my life, and it was a really dark period, and I kind of felt lost in a way. And there was always two things in my life that I always wanted to do. It was to play music and travel the world, or get to work in the WWE. Those were the two things I've always wanted to do with my life. And the opportunity came up to get into broadcasting and give it the shot. And glad to say, for a guy that's always been said that he's too shy and yada, 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 I finished first in my graduating class. And in 2014, I got my start into making these play-by-play articles, or as I like to call them, transcripts. And it was the night after the Rumble in Pittsburgh in 2014 is when I did my first wrestling article. And here we are 11 years later. I've been able to get to the point now where my articles rank just as high as outlets like CBS and ESPN and Bleacher Report and Forbes and all these other different places. I've been able to accomplish, I think, a very important thing to me, and in the fact that I've been able to find myself as a man and grow and mature in front of you guys, the ability to find my voice and get out of my shell in a way, and I think that's one of the main things for me is that I've been able to find myself through this experience of not only just doing the articles, but this podcast in general. March will make it 12 years of me in the media as a whole, but now we're about to enter my 11th year of making these articles, and we're at 450 episodes of the Hoots Podcast. I really have grown up in front of you guys, and it comes to a point where certain things have to come to an end. Maybe some things overstay its welcome. I hope in any way over the years, whether I've done shows on here or the Pipe Bomb with McCool & Company or anything else I've ever done, I think, I hope, more importantly, that if you ever took in any time to listen to any of my shows over the last 9 years or so, especially with this podcast, I hope that I've been able to make your wrestling experience better from a fan standpoint and give you a deeper appreciation for the industry than the, do or die on every episode of Raw and SmackDown ways people are on social media in society today. I really hope in a way that this podcast has been a positive escape for you. Part of me would hope that I could say that this show would be the catalyst for my career. I would love to say that this podcast is something that I could just, go on with my day and have this podcast be my sole source of income. But it hasn't gotten to that point. And I'm not saying that's the reason why I'm putting this show to an end. And I wouldn't even say that for the fact that the podcast hasn't made any money in the last 3 or 4 years. I wouldn't even consider that a failure. I didn't start this podcast with Adam Daly 9 years ago just for money. I wanted to do this because I felt that the space needed something different. I felt the space needed something positive, and I felt that the space needed something productive, honestly, when it comes to wrestling talk. And I almost stopped doing broadcasting in general before I started this podcast. I was content with just doing the articles and just minding my own business. I had a good run with my old show, The Pro Wrestling Experience, the PWE show, and I was very proud of the stuff that I was able to accomplish with that. But I think back now in my journey, and I honestly don't have any regrets. But it comes to a certain time where sometimes you have to say goodbye to things, and I'm entering a big part of my life right now. I just turned 30 this past May. I'm getting ready to start the next chapter of my life. I'm moving to Florida in the coming months, and I need to really reevaluate how I want to go about this next chapter of my life. I'm still going to be doing my articles. Obviously, it's part of my career and how I keep a roof over my head. But, for me, as much as I love doing this show, it's not, I don't feel like it's growing enough. I don't feel like it's sustainable for me to keep doing this for free. I wouldn't say that I'm disappointed in myself, but I kind of, each time when we have a big PLE weekend like this, and I'm reminded for the fact that I'm not being able to participate in these events, or or get to go to the scrums or get media credentials and stuff like that. It's a tough pill to swallow, you know, and even though we are entering the final chapter of the show, I don't look at this project as a failure. I don't think I failed. I gave this a shot. I'm more than proud and humbled with what this show has meant to me personally and professionally. I think it's made me a better person and a better man. And I just want to say thank you. I want to thank anybody that's ever taken time to listen to the show. I want to thank Adam for starting the show with me. I want to thank Brother Carter for being a big part of the show as well. I want to thank Referee Tony, our main crew, like Patrick Fritz, Sam Piopo, who's killing it as a dad right now, Brandon DeJesus, Mike Rubio, Main Event Swerve, so many other people that I can thank right now. And Referee Tony, of course, B-Rob. I can keep going for days and days. I loved doing the show. I didn't think that the show would last this long. I didn't think that it would get to this point. I didn't even know if the show would last 100 episodes, let alone 450. I made a promise to you guys when we did episode 400 last year that I'm going to make it to 500 and call it a day there. And I'm going to continue that promise. So, in the beginning of 2026 will be the end of the Hoots Podcast as we know it today. We are entering the final chapter, and I promise to you guys that I'm going to take these last final 50 episodes and try to make them the best that I can. Hopefully give you some good insight and analysis work ahead of WrestleMania 41. And take you guys on this journey with me as I get ready to, put one chapter of my life to the back burner in Chicago and start my new life in Florida. And I just want to say again from the bottom of my heart, thank you. Again, I would love to do this show forever. I would love to say that my main source of income is this. I would love to say that I would have the opportunity to go to these big PLEs like this weekend based on the success of this show, and that I would be able to pay for my own flights and hotels and get to cover these shows for free because of this podcast. But we're not there. We're not a partner on Spotify. We're not even a partner on YouTube. I had to be practical about this, and as much as I love doing this, I can't bank on this forever. This is just something that I was hoping over the last couple of years that something would pick up and that we would start getting more money again once we hit the million downloaded play mark on Spotify. But it's got to the point where they're so fucking picky with the tiers that you have to hit in order to get money, and unfortunately we're just not there. And it's really more on the Spotify end, so I don't want this to be a sad thing, but I wanted to come on here and tell you why I'm putting the show to an end, and understand that, sometimes projects like this have overstayed its welcome. I'm not saying that I would never do another wrestling podcast. If the opportunity was right and I could make a living out of it, I would love to do that. But I just think that this project has overstayed its welcome, And the fact that some of you guys still care, I still see the people who like repost or like retweet the links of the podcast when I do it, and I appreciate that. But honestly, as much as I love doing this podcast, it's not taking me where I wanted to go in my professional career, and that sucks. I hate feeling that way, but I have to be honest with myself. And again, I'm not gonna sit here and call myself a failure or call this show a failure, because it's not true. But you know, I had to. There's some sacrifices you have to make when you have to get your life together, and you know, you have these things that you want for yourself. And I really thought that when we hit the 1 million mark last year, and I thought, you know, it's been a couple years. The first couple years when we started putting this show up on Spotify for creators, we were making some pretty decent money. And we had a deal where we read commercials, we would get money back in return. I think in 2020 or 2021, before COVID all started everything, like I was making at least $4,000 from the show. And ever since October of 2020, we haven't made jack shit. Nothing. We haven't even got close for the opportunity to gain money. And when we hit the 1 million mark, I thought that would be a tier good enough to be like, hey, your show's more than qualified to be part of our partner program. But it's all these little different ulterior tiers that you have to hit now. And even the show has got almost another million plays and downloads this year. I mean, right now, we're at 1.8 million downloads and plays, almost creepy to 1.9. And I just really thought that once we hit that million mark, that we would like take the show to the next level, and I would start being compensated properly from Spotify. But it's just not happening. And I have a lot of important life decisions that I have to make in the coming months, and I need to keep my focus on the main thing, and that's moving to Florida. That's my main priority right now, outside of obviously taking care of my health and still doing my walks and everything, which I'm still doing. But the main thing is that I have to continue forward and, you know, go about this the right way. I would love to do this forever, guys. I really would. But this will be our final chapter. Starting today, 50 more episodes of the Hoots Podcast. I just want to start off with that. I've also been kind of in a somber mood this week because today, exactly as I'm recording this, is the 20th anniversary of one of the worst days of my life. 20 years ago today, my Nani, Theresa Catalano, passed away from pancreatic cancer. And it was a Monday, and it was right before Raw. And my Nani was already struggling really bad with like her treatments and radiation and stuff like that. And my Nani was like really, you could call her a matriarch, but more she was like a patriarch at least on my mom's side of the family. And she played a big role in my life. I think a lot of the good qualities anybody ever says about me, I think I've got that from her. I've learned a lot of great things from her, especially about being a man of your word, and if you say you're going to do something, that you got to do it. And you know, staying true to the people who do right by you. My Nani was a musical director, like choir director at my family's church, which is called Holy Rosary in Chicago. And she was there for so many years. The one big regret in my life that I have is that she wasn't able to really get to see me play the guitar. I was just in the middle of the process of learning and getting my rhythm going with my strumming hand and everything. I wasn't there yet. By the time she got diagnosed and things were starting to get really bad. And I would definitely say that my life changed this day 20 years ago when she passed away. Dynamics in the family changed. Every time it's January 31st, it's just not an easy day. I miss her. I had a really good bond with her, and I loved her deeply. I think that she'd be proud of me. I think she'd be proud of the fact that I found some confidence from within to, try something like this broadcasting. I think she would have been proud of the things that I was able to do in high school when it came to playing music and getting accepted to Berklee College of Music. I think that she would be proud of me for how I've grown and matured as a man. It's not easy. I loved her. I loved her very dearly. And I think the best thing about this is just knowing that she's been by my side this entire time. And just when I feel like things are at a rock bottom or some of the struggles that I was dealing with last year, it's like she's been there to lift me up. Even though I can't see her or feel her physically, I know that she's right by me, and that no matter how this next chapter of my life is going to look like, or even going forward, I know she'll be right by my side, and she'll be my biggest supporter. And I miss her. I really do. I always have people in my family be like, "When are you gonna stop wasting your time at wrestling? It's just a hobby." Blah 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 blah. But my Nani was never like that with me. She was always supportive with me when it came to wrestling because I wasn't doing something stupid outside. I wasn't trying to be like one of these punk kids and join gangs and make stupid decisions like that. I lost my Nani when I was 11 years old. I'm grateful for the time that I had with her, and here I am now, about to turn 31 in May, and I miss her so much. I really do. Especially today, I do. I wish I had just at least one opportunity to talk to her and kind of pick her brain with everything that's going on in my life right now and what I should do and stuff like that. I think her words would really mean a lot to me. And sorry guys. 20 years, Nani. I love you. Thank you for everything you gave to me in my life and the wisdom that came within. And as they say in wrestling, I'll see you down the road. Alright guys, so this episode, especially today, is in loving memory of my Nani, Theresa Catalano, who unfortunately passed away today. Passed away 20 years ago today in 2005. I miss you, Nani. When we come back, we'll get to what happened this week in WWE, make some predictions for a Royal Rumble, and then get to the Back Porch Q&A session right here on episode 450 of the Hoots Podcast. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody, to the Hoots Podcast. Time to talk about what happened this week in WWE. We're going to take a voyage back to this past week's edition of the Down to SmackDown this past Friday night. By the way, if you ever want to see my articles from wrestling, you can do that by checking out ProWrestlingTranscriptions.com or the results section of WrestlingHeadlines.com. So SmackDown this past Friday was in Austin, Texas. Joe Tessitore and Wade Barrett on the call. Joe Tessitore started the show with Cody Rhodes in his interview, hyping up what was going to happen at Saturday night's main event, which we'll also be talking about here in this segment. I like the dynamic of Joe doing these in-ring interviews. I like the dynamic, kind of the old school feel, like back in the day with like NWA or AWA, these type of interviews. Mean Gene in a way too. I liked it. I thought it hit the marks that it needed to hit, so I thought that was a good way to start off the show. Shout out to Matthew McConaughey, who was at the show this past Friday. That was pretty cool to see. All right. Motor City Machine Guns, pretty solid match. Machine Guns got the victory. They'll be taking on DIY tomorrow night in a 2 out of 3 falls match for the WWE Tag Team titles. I mentioned to have that match on the Royal Rumble, and I'm so glad that they're actually doing it. Both of those tag teams deserve an opportunity to really get some steam into the tag team division, and I bet you all 4 guys will be going into this pay-per-view tomorrow with a chip on their shoulder. I have no doubt about that at all, and I'm really excited to transcribe that match, and it's going to be fucking awesome. So more additions to the SmackDown roster via the transfer window. We have The Miz, and now we got Damian Priest join the Blue Brand, which I think is an interesting call. I really do. And with it being Friday, and we got SmackDown a little later on, I think it'd be cool for Damian Priest to cut a promo or something. I think that'd be pretty cool. So be on the lookout for that. Kevin Owens came out to respond to Cody Rhodes. He's like, what kind of journalist are you? I can't believe I'm saying this, but you actually make me miss Michael Cole. Of course, Michael Cole's too busy kissing Pat McAfee's ass to be here, just like everyone is too busy kissing Cody Rhodes' ass. You rock everyone. Hey, Joe, let me ask you this. Why does everybody want to be Cody Rhodes' best friend? Let me tell you what Cody Rhodes does to his best friends. He uses them and then betrays them. But that's okay, because at the Royal Rumble, I'll prove to everyone that I am the true rightful WWE champion. What are you looking at, McConaughey? Then he was like, he's like, I'm going to be Cody just like Ohio State beat your stupid Longhorns. I thought that was a good line. We had a tag match, Michin and B-Fab against Chelsea Green and Piper Niven. Michin got the victory. She'll be taking on Chelsea tonight. Her final crack at the Women's United States Championship. Speaking of championships and beautiful women, Charlotte Flair will be making her return to the WWE at the Royal Rumble tomorrow night. Love the vignettes that they've been airing of her, and I get it. A lot of people are going to be in their feelings this weekend because a lot of people hate greatness and stuff like that, but I acknowledge Charlotte Flair. She still is the cream of the creme of the creme. She is top tier restaurant quality waterfall, and she's still one of the best in the industry. So I'm happy that she's back. We had a kind of mishmash talking swing here with a lot of women entering themselves in the Rumble. I wasn't too crazy about that segment. The impromptu 6-woman tag team match after that was kind of long, but hey, I'm not going to complain seeing Liv Morgan on my TV for extended period of time. God, that woman's sexy. Johnny Gargano and Apollo Crews. Crews beat Johnny Gargano with help from Motor City Machine Guns. The LA Knight promo to Tama Tonga and Jacob Fatu is pretty funny. LA Knight's a trip, man. LA Knight took on Tama Tonga. They had a pretty decent match. If you haven't seen it, go on your way to check it out. This is a hype up Jacob Fatu's impromptu slaughtering of Braun Strowman on Saturday night's main event, which was absolutely insane. Crash out season. Crash out season. Crash out season. Excuse me. Damian Priest against Carmelo Hayes. Pretty solid match. Good way to get Priest's start on the blue brand on a high note. So pretty cool to see that. Tonight on SmackDown, we got a couple matches. Liv Morgan's taking on Naomi. We got Carmelo taking on Jimmy Uso in a return match. We have an 8-man tag with DIY and Pretty Deadly against Machine Guns and Los Garza. So that was pretty cool. The main event was Kevin Owens against Jimmy Uso. Pretty decent match. Kevin Owens did defeat Jimmy Uso. And Kevin got into a brawl with Cody again as the show went off the air. So that was SmackDown from Austin. I thought that was a pretty solid show. Then we go to Saturday night's main event this past Saturday in San Antonio with Michael Cole, Pat McAfee, and Jesse the Body Ventura on the call. Rhea Ripley and Nia Jax for the Women's World Championship. Pretty physical match, but pretty decent in its way. I kind of like the Elimination Chamber match that they had last year, a little bit more with it being Rhea Ripley's hometown and everything, but this match was pretty solid too. They got good chemistry in the ring with each other, so Ripley and Nia, pretty solid. Braun Breaker and Sheamus, fantastic. I can see these two fight each other any time of the week. I would love to see a best of 7 between these guys, and the spear that Braun gave to Sheamus in midair as Sheamus was jumping off the ring steps was pretty gnarly. Sheamus said that's the best spear that he ever took. I'm not going to say that he's wrong. That Braun Breaker is the truth, man. So you get a little tension there with Braun Breaker and Penta on Raw this week, which I thought was kind of interesting. I love to see that match as well. Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens' contract signing with Shawn Michaels was pretty good. Really enjoyed it. I mentioned it last week that I've loved the build-up for this ladder match for the Undisputed WWE Championship. I think it's going to be a barn burner. I thought it was cool. And then you get Shawn Michaels doing the Sweet Chin music to Kevin Owens to close the segment. Fantastic shit. Jacob Fatu was elevated this past Saturday night on Saturday night's main event on NBC. We got color on NBC, which was crazy to see. And it was dope. Jacob Fatu's the truth. And Jacob Fatu is going to be a force to reckon with when it comes to the Royal Rumble. I'll get to that in just a couple of minutes. We had the main event, which was Gunther and Jey Uso for the World Heavyweight Championship. Very, very good match. Gunther's probably went to the Roman Reigns school of kickouts. Very close kickouts. A lot of people thought that this was going to happen for Jey. I'm not really the biggest advocate for title changes just because a movement starts on X. Because you guys, I think for those who have listened to the show for how long we've been doing it, you should know by now that I really put next to little stock into the opinions of the IWC. I don't care what they have to say most of the time, and half the time they'll lead you astray with their fantasy booking ideas. So just because, we need to change the title, this, that. I'm glad Gunther won. I really am. So we go from Saturday night's main event in San Antonio, and we head down to Atlanta, Georgia, the State Farm Arena for Monday Night Raw. Pat McAfee was back on the show after a week hiatus due to the college national championship game. Show kicked off with Seth Rollins, Gunther, and Logan Paul. Really fun segment. Seth Rollins and Gunther getting to interact with each other. Seth reminding Gunther that he wouldn't have that championship if it wasn't for Seth. And Seth was saying that Gunther's been keeping the title war from him. Logan Paul came out. He said he's entering the Royal Rumble. The heat that he was getting on Monday was just top tier stuff, man. Really, really good. So another entrant for already loaded stack field for the men's Royal Rumble match. So that was a good way to kick off the show from there. Sami Zayn pulling the I main event in WrestleMania before you card on CM Punk. I was not expecting that, so that was pretty funny. Big salute and shout out to JD McDonough. It's still kind of hard for me to call him that because I started covering his work as Jordan Devlin in NXT UK. Like, even the NXT United Kingdom Championship Tournament shows. Like, I been following along his journey for a very long time, and I've always known that he can be a top tier performer. I think him being part of the Judgment Day has done him wonders to the fact that he would have been one of those guys that probably been left lost in the shuffle or released. But nobody will ever question the toughness of that guy. I see him have some very serious physical matches with the guys like Gunther, Ilya Dragunov, Noam Dar. The list goes on and on. Like, JD McDonough, Jordan Devlin, whatever you want to call him, is definitely one of the best pure wrestlers in the world. And the tag match that him and Dominic had with the War Raiders on Monday was top notch. I hope that he gets a speedy recovery, that Cabrera to the announce table was gnarly, and I hope he has a speedy recovery. I really do. Looks like Ludwig Kaiser is trying to play the gatekeeper when it comes to Penta. He's trying to strike an alliance with Pete Dunne. That went nowhere. Rey Mysterio beat Xavier Woods with help from Xavier Woods' family turning on him, which I thought was pretty funny. More conversation with Sami Zayn and Seth Rollins. They're both in the men's Royal Rumble match. I've been saying it for weeks here in the podcast that Sami and Steph are on a collision course for WrestleMania this year. I know a lot of people say that Steph is going to fight CM Punk again. But I think for me, honestly, it's going to be Sami Zayn and Seth Rollins. I think that's really where the heat is right now, and that's how I would go about it. Live Valkyria and Ivy Nile have made their entry for the Women's Royal Rumble match as well. Bianca Belair and Naomi against Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez was pretty solid. Liv Morgan got another victory, so it looks like these Judgment Day will get another shot at the women's tag team titles. I can see that on Raw coming up soon. Penta got a vignette this week, which was nice to see. One of the funnier parts from Raw this week was Pat McAfee ripping Michael Cole's performance at WrestleMania 27. That was pretty cool. One of my favorite subjects of the week was Paul Heyman and Drew McIntyre right before the main event. I think this one was kind of overdue. Drew brought up a lot of salient points and very valid points about, him being the catalyst of the bloodline in a way, at least from Paul Heyman's point of view. And then he switched the narrative where you thought he was just solely focusing on Roman Reigns, which I talked about in last week's episode, just all the different layers that are attached to this men's Royal Rumble match. Like, you have Drew McIntyre here now playing with Paul Heyman's head, and he's like, no, I don't want you to send a message to your tribal chief. I want you to send a message to your boy, CM Punk. So, main event was Drew McIntyre and Sami Zayn. These guys never had bad matches. Drew McIntyre did win using the middle rope and turnbuckle for leverage. McIntyre, I keep saying this whole McIntyre, Owens, Seth Rollins alliance, I think it's just It's not a matter of if it's going to happen. I think it's a matter of when. It's not a coincidence that Kevin Owens keeps popping up on Raw now. So I think something's going to give. Sammy accidentally hit Cody with the Helluva Kick. Both McIntyre and Owens were laughing about it. Something's up. And the rough night continued for Cody because out comes CM Punk, and we had an absolutely fantastic segment. If you haven't seen it, go out of your way to watch it. It was dope. I had a pleasure of writing this all down. You can see it in my transcripts at ProWrestlingTranscriptions.com. This was a phenomenal segment. It really was. I love the dynamics. I think this one was even better than the promo that they had prior to last year's Royal Rumble. And, man, I really do hope that CM Punk was the Rumble. I really do. But speaking of Cody Rhodes and CM Punk, the guys at Busted Open had a conversation about this said promo with Cody and CM Punk. I want to play a little bit of it for you guys here on the podcast this week.
And it all goes back to Tony. Everything goes back to Tony. Just the same way everything would go back to Vince or Paul Heyman or anybody else who owned and ran a company. Now, when I say it goes back to Tony, I'm not saying this in a malicious way. With Tony, it comes down to how to manage personalities. And Tony never had experience in managing wrestling personalities. This is Tony's first foray into anything pro wrestling that didn't involve him being a fantasy booker on the internet or any of the stuff that he did growing up as a hobby. This is real life, real deal stuff. And a relationship between a wrestler and a booker, a wrestler and an owner, is very unique. That's why Vince McMahon used to encourage his talent to form a relationship with him. Force me to have a relationship with you. Vince was never going to go out of his way to make a relationship with you because he just couldn't do that. He can't do that. But he wanted you to force or make a relationship with him. Tony's relationships with Cody and Punk based on personality just didn't work for a variety of reasons. Cody was the brains of AEW. When it comes to the pro wrestling business, Cody Rhodes was the brains of AEW. And I will debate anybody on that. And I'm not just saying it, it's the truth. Cody knew what the hell he was doing, and he had a vision for that company when it came to the creativity and the overall perception of what that pro wrestling company should be. Tony did not agree. Punk, a very unique personality. A personality that needs to be massaged at times. Maybe sometimes handled with kid gloves. Maybe not be sold the bill of goods. Whatever it is, I'm not saying that is anything that Tony did. But it's obviously Tony could not make the relationship with Punk work out. When I take a look at my bosses in the past, a Paul Heyman, a Vince McMahon, I'm just going to use those two. Paul dealt with some of the most, what's the word I'm looking for here, Dave?
Insane?
Yeah, I mean, I guess Paul dealt with a lot of personalities. I'm just going to use Taz as an example. Taz, back in the day, he was difficult to handle and deal with. Sabu was difficult and handled to deal with. Maybe we were all difficult to deal with because we each had unique personalities and we had a certain freedom that nobody else got to experience in pro wrestling. And sometimes that freedom went too far. And Paul had to find a way to massage all of these personalities and give Taz what he wanted and Sabu what he wanted and Shane Douglas. How did all of that... And ECW was volatile personalities, combustible at any time. But he found a way. Vince McMahon, same thing. How does Vince McMahon make anything come together in the WWE? He knows how to deal with people. You could say a bunch of negative things about Paul and a bunch of negative things about Vince, but they knew how to handle personalities, deal with personalities, larger than life personalities, egomaniacs, shy people that wouldn't come out of their shell. Jim Ross was an expert at it also, because JR just treated everybody the same way. Here's how it's going to be. And it's going to be the same way for you as the opening match and you as the main eventer. It comes down to how people work with one another and personalities. Me and you have a certain relationship.
All right. We'll wrap it up right there. Okay. So, nothing else there I need to add on. You guys know where my stance is with the whole AEW stuff, but it's a very interesting dialogue there from the guys from Busted Open. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, let's get to our predictions. No! For the Rumble of Royalty in Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis, Indiana. Let's take a look, shall we? Should we do an excrement impression? Yeah, why not? Coming to you live on Peacock from Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis, Indiana. It is the 2025 edition of the Royal Rumble. Here is your matches first. A 2 out of 3 falls match for the WWE Tag Team Championship. It's the Machine Guns. Alex Shelley. I screwed it. Hold up. Let's do it again. I haven't done this in a while. Coming to you live from Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis, Indiana. It is the 2025 edition of the Royal Rumble. Here's your matches first. For a 2 out of 3 falls match for the WWE Tag Team Championship. It's the champions DIY taking on the Motor City Machine Guns. Next, a ladder match for the undisputed WWE Championship. It is Cody Rhodes taking on Kevin Owens. Next, a 30-woman Royal Rumble match for the women. Women will determine her opponent. Damn it. A women's Royal Rumble where the winner gets to pick a champion of her choosing at WrestleMania. Here's the ladies that are announced for the women's Royal Rumble. Nia Jax, Bayley, Charlotte Flair, Naomi, Bianca Belair, Liv Morgan, Raquel Rodriguez, Lyra Valkyria, Abby Nile, and Io Sky. Next, and our main event. It's the 2025 Men's Royal Rumble match, where the winner will also get to main event WrestleMania in Las Vegas. Here's the confirmed participants. LA Knight, John Cena, CM Punk, Jey Uso, the Tribal Chief Roman Reigns, Seth freaking Rollins, Drew McIntyre, Rey Mysterio, Sami Zayn, Shinsuke Nakamura. Just announced this week on Raw alone, Logan Paul, Penta, Chad Gable, Braun Breaker, and Carmelo Hayes. More entrants to be announced. Make sure to follow Triple H Twitter at Triple H and get all your tickets right now at www.com/tickets. That's repeat, that is www.com/tickets. Yeet. Alright. Alright, here is my predictions for the Rumble. I have DIY sneaking out a victory against the Machine Guns. I think they'll retain. I think Cody Rhodes will beat Kevin Owens thanks to the help from Randy Orton. If Randy Orton does not pop up tomorrow at the Rumble, then Kevin Owens will win the ladder match. For the women in the Royal Rumble, here's how I go with that. My pick for the women's Royal Rumble this year is either Charlotte Flair or Bianca Belair. For the men's, my pick for the Royal Rumble is CM Punk or John Cena. I believe John Cena will be tossed out by Drew McIntyre and cost out of the Royal Rumble. I believe that Jacob Fatu will cost the Tribal Chief the Royal Rumble and his chance to get back in the championship. I believe that CM Punk will win the Royal Rumble. So, let me repeat my predictions again. We have DIY. I got Cody Rhodes. Given that Randy Orton comes out to distract Kevin Owens. Got Charlotte Flair. And I got CM Punk winning the Royal Rumble. Those are my predictions. Make sure to follow my coverage for the Royal Rumble this Saturday on the results section of WrestlingHeadlines.com. I appreciate the support, each and every single one of you. And that is conclusion for this week in WWE. Yeet. When we come back, we'll answer your questions for this week's edition of the Back Porch Q&A session right here on episode 450 of the Hoots Podcast. We'll be right back. Hey everybody, welcome back everybody to the Hoots Podcast. What we're starting to do this week is time for the Back Porch Q&A session. Excuse me, right here on the podcast at Hoots. Let's do it everybody. Let's throw up the X for the good brother Chris Zaletta at XMZaletta24X on the Twitter machine. Let's see what Chris has for us this week. What up, Boos? Here's some questions for the Q&A this week. Thoughts on Jordan Grace officially signing with WWE? 2 words. Long overdue. Period. Long overdue. I'm happy for her success. I got to see her when she was in the beginning stage of her career at AEW and being a valet for Eddie Kingston. To see where she is now is just great to see, and she's an awesome person, and I'm really, really happy for her success, and I think she's going to kill it in WWE. I really do. So I'm happy for her. We'll see what happens. Who for TNA would you like to see in both men's and women's Rumble matches? Great questions there. I like to see Eddie Edwards for first time. I like to see definitely would like to see Master Slamovich in there for sure. I'd love to see that. Rosemary, that's fine. I like to see Moose in the Rumble. Why not? Sami Callihan would be cool too. But I have a feeling Sami Callihan might be behind some of these little hacking things I've been seeing on NXT lately. So, those are the ones off the top of my head. I mean, sure, you can say Mustafa Ali or Dolph Ziggler, but we've already seen these guys. So, and of course, the aforementioned Joe Hendry. So, good question there. When does Roxanne and Cora crash out and come to blows? It's going to be sooner or later. My best guess, Chris, will probably be Vengeance Day, and then they have some grudge stipulation type of match at NXT Stand and Deliver in the T-Mobile Arena in Vegas. So that'll be my best prediction for that situation, if you will. Thoughts on Stephanie McMahon's interview on the Pat McAfee show? Loved it. I thought it was great. I always had a crush on Stephanie when I was a kid, but she's an amazing human being. I love her spirit. The stuff that she was mentioning about Conor Mahalik and Conor's cure, that really got me choked up as I was watching it live. She's an awesome person. I'm happy that she's having this new show on ESPN Plus called Stephanie's Places, kind of similar to Peyton's Places. I would love to see that. I don't have the money for ESPN Plus, but I would love to watch those episodes. It looks pretty cool for the sizzle trailer that I saw of it. She's awesome. She's an amazing human being, and I'm really glad for the fact that the interview was in good tone and it didn't have to be a bunch of questions about her dad and what's going on with him right now, because honestly, Vince is irrelevant to what's going on with WWE right now, and that's his bridge to deal with. Who will be in the Final Four in both men's and women's Rumble matches? Great question there, Sir Christopher. For the women, it will be Charlotte Flair, Becky Lynch, Bianca Belair, and AJ Lee. For the men, it'll be CM Punk, John Cena, Drew McIntyre, and Jey Uso. That'll be the Final Four from there. From there, the next question for Chris, he says, got to put you on the spot here. Between these two triple threat matches, which one did you enjoy the most? Taker, Rock, Angle, or Brock, Cena, and Seth? I'm going to say Brock, Cena, and Seth. That was one of my... This is one of those first matches in my early part of my transcribing career that I really felt like I was in my flow and I was getting it right with the timing down the sequences and everything. And that match that they had in Philly for that Rumble that year was fucking phenomenal. It was great. So I had to go with Brock, Seth, and Cena for that one. Not saying that Rock, Taker, and Angle wasn't good. It was, but I preferred that Rumble match way more. Who will have a breakout performance in both men's and women's Rumble matches? Well, that's the easy one. I think that for sure Jordan Grace and Penta and Braun Breaker of the Worlds are going to have really good performances. I can say maybe Lyra Valkyria also in a way. Like I can see her kind of be like an Iron Woman type of performer in the match. So those are the ones that come off the top of my head. Seems like we're slowly seeing Stephanie McMahon come back around. Do we expect her to be back around full time at some point? It's a wait and see type of thing. I'm not banking on it. I'm sure it'll happen one day. Whether she's legally in the company or not, I'll always assume that Stephanie's with the WWE. So with Triple H in charge right now, Stephanie will never not be in the fold. So it's not really something that I would consider that, is she coming back or not? I want her to do what she wants to do because it makes her happy. She's a great person, and she deserves to live her life on her own terms now. So, who are your picks for both Rumble matches? CM Punk and Charlotte Flair. The road to WrestleMania is here, and the next PLE will come quick. Who will be the qualifiers in both men's and women's Elimination Chamber matches? Yay. Okay. That's a good question. Fuck me. Well, I'm going to say... Cause there's so much grudge feuds that are going to be coming out of the men's Rumble match that it's hard for me to pinpoint who's going to be exactly in the chamber match itself. Because I'm sure you could have some grudge stipulation matches as singles matches on that show in Toronto. Alright, this is the best guess that I can give right now, okay? John Cena, Drew McIntyre, Seth Rollins, Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, and Jey Uso. Those are my 6 right there. For the women, Charlotte will win the Rumble, so she doesn't need to be in it. That's even a good question. Bianca Belair, Jade Cargill, Liv Morgan, Lyra, Naomi, and Nia Jax will be for the women. That'd be my prediction for that one. And on that note, we're going to put a ribbon on the bow for this week's edition of the Hoots Podcast. I want to thank you all for the support, everybody. This has been a great episode. I want to let you guys all know that I love you. I'm so grateful for you guys to be part of this journey, for the fact that we've hit now 450 episodes. It means it from the bottom of my heart. I love you guys. We are entering our final chapter of the show, but I don't want it to be a sad thing. We're going to go out with a bang. We're going to put a great ending to a 10-year project that I'm extremely proud of, and we're going to have fun with it. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. Hope you guys get a chance to enjoy the Rumble and don't let your fantasy booking stuff get in your way of your enjoyment of the show. I think we're in for a fun night on Saturday in Indy. I'm jealous of everybody that's getting to be in the press box and all that stuff. But it's going to be a fun show, and I'm excited to cover it. Remember, folks, be the authentic product that is yourself. Remember, nobody dictates the pace of your life but yourself and the man upstairs. This episode was dedicated to my loving Nani, who passed away 20 years ago today, Theresa Catalano. I miss you, Nani, and I'll see you down the road. For everybody, I'm Joshie. This has been episode 450 of the Hoots Podcast. Make sure to check out my transcripts this weekend for not only for SmackDown tonight, but also the Royal Rumble. And we'll recap it all as the road to WrestleMania 41 starts this weekend right here on the Hoots Podcast. Love y'all. Talk to y'all next week. Yeet.
Bye-bye, bitch.